All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as mentioned previously, I'm going out and doing some presentations based on some of the ebooks by Mr. Flavio Copes. If you go to his ebooks here, I'm going to concentrate on 7 of these, those being, let's do them in order, the HTML Handbook, the CSS Handbook, the JavaScript Beginner's Handbook, JavaScript from ES5 to ES Next, Node.js Handbook, Express.js Handbook, and React Beginner's Handbook. All right, so those 7. And I'm just getting started, so I'm about 15% of the way through the HTML Handbook. All right, HTML is case insensitive. Now, even though tags can be written in both uppercase, lowercase, or mixed case, other than the doc type, it's very rare, if ever, that you'll see any other tag in HTML that's put in anything but lowercase. Okay, so as it says, you'll almost always see it like this. I don't think I've ever seen it like that. White space is important in HTML, and white space is basically you hitting the Enter key, you hitting the Tab key, you hitting the space bar. Now, one thing about this, and you probably have seen this already before, as it says, this is the same thing as this. In fact, let's grab this. Just going to grab that right there, and I'm going to put it in right underneath the first paragraph. Okay? And you'll notice, well, I thought maybe it didn't. Let's just do this. So you can see all of the stuff that we've got in there. Let's see how different it looks. I didn't save. Not really any different at all, because all white space in here, like for example, if you're inside of a paragraph, all white space is handled as though you just hit the space bar once. All right. So if I wanted to put, these on 4 different lines, I'd put a BR tag before this, and before this. Now I'm not going to do that. All right. I think everybody gets what I'm talking about. So again, if we did it like this, it's also going to look just the same. Just to prove it, let's grab this. And it looks as though once we do this, and if I copy it directly like this, that it's going to remove all the stuff that we had in there. Oh, it didn't. Good. Okay, so we'll save that. Again, look at it, and again, you can see it looks the same. Okay, I think we've kind of beat this enough. Now, I kind of like doing it this way, but I don't put another space in there. So in other words, I tend to take almost all of my tags. There are exceptions, all right? But just for readability's sake, I tend to take basically all of my tags and put them in like this. Okay, like that. It doesn't run any better. It's actually taking up a little more room, but to me, okay, in the actual HTML itself, it reads a little better. You don't agree? Do it whatever way you're comfortable with. All right. As it says, typically your nested tags should be set to either 2 characters or 4 characters. Okay? All right. If you want to add your own spaces in here, you can use this. This is called an HTML entity, and it stands for a non-breaking space, NBSP, non-breaking space. So you'll notice if I come back in here and I put in, I don't know why I keep doing that, but if I come in here and I put in between here 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, save and bring it up again. Now you can see I've got those spaces here and here. So if I do want to put in more than one space, I can manually put it in using the non-breaking space if so desired. All right. Document heading, again, the head tag contains special tags. These are all things that do not appear on the web page itself. Here are most of the ones that you'll see. All right, title is what appears up here. I didn't change mine, so it was document by default. Notice if I put my mouse over it, it says document. All right, but if I come back in here again and change this from document to, how about just hello, save, come back again, you'll notice now it says hello. All right. The script tag allows you to put JavaScript in your header. All right. The no script tag basically sets it up so that if you don't have JavaScript turned on, you can do whatever you want to do with it. The link tag allows you to add CSS. All right. The style tag is used along with the link tag typically. All right. Base, I'm not even sure what it is. And meta are a bunch of the meta tags. They're extra tags that you can put in. All right. So the title tag, as it says, determines the page title. The script is used to put JavaScript onto a page. This is what we're going to use. That is the defer tag. This is typically in modern web design. That's what you put in. And don't worry about it. Basically, in English, what it says is that it doesn't load. It's not going to load your page until, it's not going to. It says it triggers a faster path to a fast loading page, and it makes your JavaScript available as early as possible. We'll leave it like that. It says the async attribute is similar, all right, but I use defer. And if you want more, you can even get a little bit of his stuff on there, okay? So again, if the user is disabled, JavaScript, you can have a no script tag. The link tag, as we mentioned, they say there that it's set up to set up relationships between the document and other resources. All right. More often than not, it's going to be used like this. This allows you to bring CSS, an external CSS file in. So the link, okay, and the href is hypertext reference. There's the name of the file. That's the relationship. All right. If you decide that you're going to put your CSS right in the head tag itself, that's when you use the style tag. All right. The media attribute, as it says, can be used. So if you have different types of CSS files, this one is one for your screen, this is a print one, etc. All right. Favicons we've talked about already. Basically, again, what's a favicon? If we take a look right here, these are all favicons. That purple one, that red one, typically you'll say that's a YouTube, and it looks like it is. All right. Flavio's got his own little picture right there. That's his favicon. Okay. All right. All right. So the next tag we've got in here again is the style tag. As it says, we can use the style tag if we want. Then rather than loading an external style sheet into if we want to put our own styles that are just for a page, we can put it right in the head section of the page. All right. The base tag, as it says, is set to set a base URL for all other relative URLs on the page. Okay. Meta tags we've talked about. Now, meta tags have kind of, for lack of better words, they're not as popular as they used to be. In the past, they have been used a lot by different search engines. Not really so much anymore. All right. But we have been creating them anyway. So, you know, the ones that we get automatically in here, for example, are the char set, which is our character set. And to say char set UTF-8, I believe that that says that we are using a Unicode character set. This has to do basically what I've always been told is, hey, if you're using any version of Explorer or whatever, try to make it compatible and just act as though you're using Edge. And this one is probably the most important right here. In fact, let me get rid of this. All right. And this one that you see in blue right here, this is used for responsive website design. All right. And it says basically viewport is whatever mechanism that we're using to view the web page. All right. Content equal width equal device width basically says that you want to use as much of the width of whatever you're currently using to view this as you can, and you want to scale it at 100%, which is 1.0. All right. There is a robots meta tag that you can put in, and if you put that in on a page, all right, what you're saying right here is, hey, when you go through search engine to go through my entire site, or also known as spidering a site, don't use this page, this right here. Typically it's because it's got things that aren't relevant to the website. They may be personal information or whatever. All right. Notice he's got a lot of documentation in here too, links, his own articles and other articles if you're interested in those. All right. The body, again, that's where everything happens, so to speak, right? So that's in the actual HTML body section is the content that's going to appear on the page. So all this stuff is what's going to appear on the web page. All right. Just like with the head tags and just like with the HTML tag, you can have only one body tag per page. Inside the body tag, we have all the tags that define the page's content. All right. Typically, start and end tags are optional. He said, but I consider it good practice to add them just for clarity. I don't know if that's even true. I always use the body tags. I just put the tags in. All right. Block elements versus inline elements. Interesting concept. All right. And I want to show you these, but I want to show you these in a little bit different way than I've shown them in the past. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here, and in my document that I've got right here, I've got these paragraphs, right? And I'm going to get rid of this one. That's totally fine. Okay. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to take all of this stuff and I'm going to put it in what's called div for a division. All right. And let me move all these over and this one over. Okay. Now it's not going to look any different on the page. It shouldn't look a bit different. Looks still the same. But when I come in here and I go into the inspect, all right, and I'm going to blow this. Can I blow that up a little bit? I should be able to, but it's not letting me. 50%. Let's make it 150. There we go. All right. So when I come in here and I want to come down into styles, I believe it is. It's not styles. Let's see. Yeah, it is. So look right here. If you take a look, if I go and take my mouse and put it on the div tag, notice it's taking up, it is taking up right there the entire width, so to speak, of what I'm looking through. In fact, I'll move this over and notice, see how it's got that? Notice a paragraph does the same thing. Notice that the unordered list does the same thing, and the list items. So why am I showing you this then? I mean, who cares? Well, let's take a look at a couple things that we can add here. So I'm going to come back to here, and I'm going to bold by using a strong tag where it's got first item. So I'm bolding the word first. I'm going to use an emphasis tag before the second item. All right, and what's another one we can use? I'm going to give you one here that's not used very often anymore. In fact, I think it's a deprecated tag, but I'm going to put the U tag in here, which should underline. All right, and you might say, well, big deal. Well, let's look at first at what it did. So that's bolded, that's italicized, and that's underlined. But look, when I come into here now, all right, and I come into right there, and I go into my LI tag, notice that the strong is not the entire line like the LI is. See that? In the same way, move this down a bit. Should be able to, there we go. The M tag and also the U tag. See how each one of those, none of them take up the entire width of the page? Those are inline elements. Inline elements are elements that are put inside of block elements. Block elements are divs and paragraphs and unordered lists and ordered lists and list items, etc. So there are things that by default, unless told otherwise, will take up the entire width of the page. All right. So let's continue on. That's my take on this. Again, feel free to read that yourself. Tags that interact with text. The P tag, we already talked about that it's a paragraph tag. I've shown you already that it's a block element. All right. Inside, you can add an inline element. Well, I showed you some. There's other ones we could put in too. And I probably should show you that as well. So rather than that U tag, let's do this. Let's put in here a span tag. And I'm going to put in here style equal color red, just like that. And then I'm going to end the span tag. Okay, and then I'll come back to here. Notice that's now red. And notice when I put my mouse on the word third, it still is, it's an inline element. So whereas a div allows you to style and do things on block elements, a span is used for inline elements. All right, so elements that don't take up the entire width of the page. So that's my take on this, those two. BR is the line break tag. You sometimes see this put in the old-fashioned way with a BR with a slash after it, which is still acceptable, but it's not used very often. Heading tags, H1 through H6. The H1 is the biggest. The H6 is the smallest, so that's H1 size, H2 size, etc. I wish they'd have changed that and actually, put like H2, H3, etc. in here, but you get the idea. All headings are also block elements. All right, they cannot contain other elements, just text. Strong, I've already shown you. It used to be people used the B tag, B for bold. All right, today the recommendation is rather than B for bold, you use strong because it's better for browsers, for people who have or possibly have impairments, and for accessibility reasons, it's better to use the strong tag. The M tag has replaced the I tag. Normally what it does then is it italicizes, but it's again for accessibility. Quotes, you can use the block quote tag. I'm not even going to go over that. HR, is a horizontal rule. So let's very quickly, I'm going to stop it right here. But before I do, let's put in, let's see, we've got a paragraph of text here. I'm going to put a BR tag for line break right there. And then right after this, I'm going to put in an HR tag. All right, and let's look at it. Notice now that this was broken into 2 lines. That's the BR. This right here is the HR. And notice by default, the HR tag takes up 100% of the screen width. All right, but you can change that with CSS. You can change any of this stuff with CSS. All right. All right. So the code tag, as it says, it's helpful if you want to show code. The pre-tag is helpful if you want to basically have things look kind of a nice way. There's 3 types of lists. I've already shown you an unordered list. If we wanted to change the unordered list that we've been working with, and if I wanted to make it ordered, all I'd have to do would be to change this to an O here and here. And you'll notice that now they're in 1, 2, 3. All right. The other tag, so that's an ordered list and an unordered. This is a definition list. That's the way it looks rather. Typically, if you see people who use definition lists, they use them because they like, for example, you might see those for a glossary. Well, there's the term and there's the definition. DL for definition list, DT for definition term, DD for definition definition. There's other ones. Some of these probably just make sense. All right, insert and delete tags. Superscript, so it writes it a little bit higher, like up there. Subscript, so it writes it a little bit lower down there. Small, that I tend to use. All right, for example, I tend to use small when I'm creating my footer in a document because I like it a little smaller. And I already mentioned the I tag to you and the B tag. All right, I've shown you the hyperlink already. A for anchor, H for for hypertext reference, href. Then inside of double quotes there. All right, don't ever say click here. Actually, whatever you have underlined should be something that's meaningful, and you end it with a /A. All right. Let's break it right here because these are some of the newer tags, the article in the section. We've talked div already, but I'm going to stop it right here and we'll pick it up in just a couple minutes.